Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome in. My name is Marty Elias. Welcome to Life After 3. How's everybody doing? Hey, I'm glad you guys could be here today. Thank you for coming in, tuning in to Life After 3. As usual, when you guys want to watch these episodes and stuff, please go to Brinks TV app, and you can actually go to the Kill Cliff social medias, which is YouTube. You can go to the Kill Cliff TV app. All you got to do is register your email, and away you go, and you can download some great other podcasts that are on there, like Ray Lewis and some others there. And you can also go down to the killcliff.com website and get some very cool swag, like I have right here, the Kill Cliff hat, trucker hat. Check that out. Also, you guys can get the nice clean drinks, which are now available at Walmart, which is very, very cool. So if you're in Walmart, no matter where you are, across the United States, check it out, Kill Cliff, the clean drink, and away you go. I can't tell you guys how excited I am to have my next guest. And again, I'm going to be open, transparent, honest about a lot of different things moving forward here on Kill Cliff, because they've given me the opportunity and the platform to do that. So that's why I'm going to do this. My next guest, what can I say about him, man? I love him. He's my brother. We've been through some highs. We've been through some lows. I don't even need to give this guy an introduction, because with everything that he's done, but you guys know him from WCW, you know him from Los Guerreros, from WWF. He was Kerwin White at one time. So please welcome in my brother from another mother, Mr. Chavo Guerrero. Thank you, Chavo, for being here, homie.
What's going on, my brother? Thank you for that introduction, man. I think you got to rival Justin Roberts as far as ring announcing right there.
hey, man. You know, whatever was needed to happen on Independence or even shows. Hey, man, can you ref? Yeah. Can you set up a ring? Yeah. Can you announce? Yeah. So in this business, we've always been jack of all trades, so to speak, man. Right. So you know, again, that's what we're taught to do. So first and foremost, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm just getting back from Australia. Finished Young Rock season 2, and that actually airs March 17th. So 1 week so depending on when this airs, it's 1 week from today. And just adjusting back into normal life.
Yeah. So doing more Hollywood or more wrestling stuff?
You know what? I'm doing more Hollywood stuff, man. It's you know, the wrestling stuff, you know, it comes and goes, and sometimes loves you and sometimes hates you. But it just seems like I'm finding my niche in Hollywood pretty well right now. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And, you know, what you said right now, sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it. I mean, because you and I talk privately about stuff, and, you know, right. The business is what it is. And again, we've all hated it for various reasons, and we loved it for various reasons. But what you just mentioned right now, I want to touch the elephant in the room right now, man, is what happened with AEW, man, and that opportunity, bro. I mean, I want to address the elephant in the room right off the bat, dude. No bullshit, no nothing, man. And if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But for me, and again, this is my opinion from an outsider looking in, I call bullshit on it. So,
well, it's I think it's a little bit of a misunderstanding, probably on both of our parts. Mm-hmm. You know, I worked for AEW, and I was on like a 3-month weekly type deal when I first came in, just to see what's going on, which was cool with me. That's, you know, basically what I wanted. You know, I got a lot of other things going on, and just try it out. You know, I don't want to be locked into anything. And same for them. You know, they probably was going to try me out and see what's going on. So we, you know, did some good things, and then I got a call from Young Rock. I knew I was going back for season 2. I just didn't know when it was going to happen.
Yeah, because I remember us talking about that.
Yeah. I just didn't know the exact dates. You know, in Hollywood, it's kind of like, hey, what are you doing in 3 weeks? You know, I was like, can you come to Australia for 5 months? So basically, that's how it is. So I got that call. I brought up to Tony Khan and said, hey, pulled him aside privately. We talked, said, this was going on. I can keep you in the loop. You know, I really had no obligation to anybody. I could just walk out if I really wanted to. But, you know, as respect to somebody who, you know, took a chance to bring me in, I told him what was going on and see if he wanted to kind of match the price. And he was like, you know, that's a little much. Not that he couldn't, he's a billionaire. So, but, you know, and to be honest, I don't know if he would have matched it if I could have stayed anyways, just because of that's Hollywood. That's my pension. That's my SAG insurance. That's my union, so that's one of those things that, that's the future for sure, So we decided to go ahead and have me go to Australia. And when I came back, that we were going to bring me back. So wrote me out real fast, real easy, no problem. And we were in touch the whole time there, like basically back and forth, not a ton of texts, but enough to he'd check on me. Hey man, when are you coming back? We got some plans, and vice versa. And then the last few texts, 2-3 texts, were unresponded, not responded. So I was like, that's strange. She usually gets back to me. Then when I got into town, I texted him, let him know, hey man, I'm back. I got some ideas. Let me know when you want to get back. And again, no response. Then I see that all of a sudden I'm taken off of the AEW website, the roster page, which before I was on, and I'm like, well, that's strange. That's not cool. No. So I called Tony, left him a message, no call back. And that's where we were at. So I was like, all right, whatever. So then I did another podcast. Nick from WrestleZone, I did his podcast, and he asked me about it. And I just told him, look, same thing I told you. So then I think Nick was actually at Revolution, which is the AEW pay-per-view, and talked to Tony and asked him, how about, what about with Chavo? So he said, I owe Chavo a call. I missed one message. That wasn't one message. That's not true. I have the text messages. You know how it goes. But absolutely. He's a busy guy. I get it. Look, I'm not the only guy on his radar. I totally get it. Come on. I see how he's a busy guy. He's wearing a lot of hats. He's doing a whole bunch and not delegating a lot of that business and a lot of stuff to other people. So he's doing it all. And so I get it. I understand that. To me, it's just a call. Let's talk. If we're going to do it, then if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I understand. But just to go dark, that upset me.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't blame you, man, because with any type of relationship or partnership or whatever, I really feel, and the fact that he fucking ghosted you, man, I mean, it's like, really, come on, in any type of business relationship or anything that you have business wise, I think you owe it to that person to sit them down or at least give them some type of closure or some type of explanation to say, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're going. This is where we're not going. But to do that, man, again, I call bullshit. And, it doesn't take much to respond. I mean, because here's my opinion of it, is that I'm guilty of it just like you are and everybody else, is that we have our fucking phones in our hands 24/7.
Right.
And it doesn't take that much, because it takes you more time to post something on social media than it does to send a text. Yeah. And
this is my take on it. I'll cut you off. My thing is this, is that I get it, man, but he's not, I guess, being a billionaire or whatever it is. He's probably not feeding his family from that job. But there's other people that are. So what happens a lot of times is these owners that they have a lot of money and they just get disconnected with the actual man. I am not a billionaire. Now I'm doing okay. I'm doing well, and everything's great. But at the same time, how does he not know? Like I gave up opportunities. I literally said, people asked me when I was in Australia, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? I said, no, I'm going back to AEW. I gave Tony my word, great. And now all of a sudden it's taking food out of your mouth, dude. Yeah, 100%. So I would have planned other things. So now I'm just sitting here waiting for my next gig. No big deal. It's great. I did well with Young Rock, and I'm okay. I can just chill out and not do much right now. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I took a couple weeks off. Let's get back to it. So that's it. That's my thing. If it would have let me know, then I would have taken the other opportunities that I have, and I would have been doing some more work right now. I'm a guy that's got to keep going. I don't like to stay idle for too long. I got to
like my ex-wife used to say, you're not a 9-to-5 job guy. No, you're never going to work a 9-to-5.
Right.
And that's how we're wired, man. And unfortunately, when you get in the mix with different people, who really haven't been there their lives, it's a different animal. And the fact, that you are who you are and have your career and have done what you've done,
Right.
And especially with your family. And, you know, to me, that just doesn't sit well with me. I mean, call me old school, call me, you know, somebody who doesn't understand what's going on today. But to me, that kind of stuff doesn't sit well. And that's why, you know, I had to disconnect from professional wrestling because of all the horse shit like this, where people say this or they don't say that. And like, you've been blessed to move on, just like I have.
Sure.
But to me, that side of the business is something that I fucking hate. And I really hate the fact that it is what it is like that, and that somebody like yourself is disrespected like that when everything that you and your family have achieved. So to me, fuck you, Tony Khan. There you go.
You know what? I don't think it's a direct disrespect, and I'll give Tony that. Tony's a nice guy. I get along with Tony. Like,
I've heard that, but again,
if he walked right in right now, I'd be okay, great. So I just think that it's just an oversight. And it's like, hey, sometimes you got to put yourself in. If you're employing a lot of people that aren't billionaires and you're a billionaire, you got to put yourself in their shoes, just like we put ourselves in his shoes. I know he's got a ton of things going on. I get it. That's why there was, 3-4 texts, whatever it was, a call, until finally it's like, okay, that's enough,
Yeah. And that's it, man. I mean, for me, somebody like yourself doesn't have to chase Tony Khan.
No, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. That's not my deal. You know what I mean? It's like, but at the same time, I gave him my word. So if I'm giving somebody my word that I'm going to be there, that it's like, hey, we don't need to chase each other at all. But if I'm giving you my word, I'm giving you my word. So let's make it happen. And trust me, if I would have taken something else would have bigger come up. I absolutely would have called him and said, hey, this is what's going on. I know that I said this. What do you think? And he just shot it off of him, 100%. Mm-hmm. And I was not given that opportunity or that courtesy. So that's
and for me, that's the side that irks me, is that somebody like yourself,
right,
with your career, your record, and what you've done. And what your family's done, dude, for the business.
And it's not even that. It's not even, okay, what I've done and stuff. I get this business. What have you done for me lately? And that makes total sense. With what I'm doing in Hollywood with, TV shows and movies, you've been a part of that with Glow.
Absolutely.
And other things, of course. But, you see what I'm doing. I'm involved with casting. I'm involved with coordinating. I'm involved with storytelling. I'm involved with writing. I'm involved with almost every aspect of that thing. So the first thing, it'd be logical to have this working relationship with a company, because the first thing I'm doing is get our guys looked at. And I actually I won't say who it is, but I got a role from AEW. Don't get me wrong, he did a great audition and he got himself a role, but I got him looked at. I said, look, we really need to look at this guy. This guy's good. I think he's going to be really great in the role. And it worked out. And I was like, hey, AEW guy, awesome, great. And it's like, for me, it's like, it's a no brainer. So, but what goes around comes around, and, I know he's a billionaire and I'm not a billionaire, but I'm doing a whole bunch of different things. And one of these days he's going to be calling me going, hey, Chavo, what about this? And I'm going to be like, ghost.
No, Chavo, just be honest. You're going to go, fuck you, Tony.
Nah, I would never say that. I may just maybe not call him back. Or just text him, say, I'll call you back later, and never call him back.
Exactly.
But that's,
yeah.
I don't like.
Well, here, I'll say it for you. Okay. Yeah, I said it for you.
Thank you.
Dude, I don't give a fuck. I really don't.
Good for you. It's about time. I've been telling you to say that a long time ago.
Yeah. And Chavo, I've been doing this for a long time, bro.
Yeah,
not as long as you, but dude, with everything that I've done in my career, and of course working with you on Glow and some other projects and things, man, and knowing this business the way it is and been involved, I'm at the point, especially with today's professional wrestling, it's like, it's not what you and I fell in love with, and it's not what your family would be proud of right now, because of all the bullshit that everybody is so worried about getting all their shit in and stuff. I watched the pay-per-view and I watched the main event. Right. And dude, talk about guys who were just doing everything and anything just to do it, and nobody was selling, and they were hitting super kicks, they were hitting lariats, they were hitting dives. Right. And nobody was selling, everybody was kicking out of everything. So when they came to the finish, it was like I was exhausted from watching that and going like, okay, so you finished him with the lariat, but you hit him with 4 earlier and he kicked out of those, but how come he's kicking out of the 5th one?
That's a great thing. So my thing with that is that wrestling changes. It evolves. It really does. So what I remember being, you know, a young guy in the wrestling business, and the same, you know, the older guys telling me the same thing. God, back in my day, we used to do this. And they were right. Wrestling just changes. It evolves. So wrestling has evolved. It absolutely has. So what we did in, you know, 95 or 98 may not totally hold value here. It's going to change. But there's some things that do hold true. And a lot of the things were, you know, selling. You got to sell. I don't care what you're on. Whether you're in, you know, you're in a TV show, whether you're in a movie, you know, there is no Luke Skywalker without Darth Vader, and vice versa, you know. So Amen. What these guys are doing, and I think they're just doing so many high spots. So eventually you're going to have to shoot somebody with a bazooka or cut their head off just to win the match.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you. I mean, in the real world, if I kick you in the face, probably going to knock you out with a kick.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's the way I would sell it. So people want to have their beliefs suspended. So as soon as you start seeing people, you know, physics is physics. It is what it is. And your body's one thing, but people are like, oh my God, he just got run over by a car. Oh my God, he just got up. That's impossible. It's not going to happen. When I see a movie and that stuff happens, like one time I saw Tom Cruise in one of the Mission Impossibles, and it was really cool stuff. It was great stunts. It was awesome. But the second that he was riding the motorcycle and jumped off the side and was like, his feet were skidding across the floor, almost like he was on roller skates, and then jumped back and went on the other side. I'm like, that defies the law of gravity and physics. That cannot happen. Like you'd be flipping around. They lost me. That's when I was like, like that's not true. And that's what's happening in wrestling a lot of times, is that you have the guys doing these things and they're not thinking logically, because the fans that are watching are going, wow, that's great. Well, wait a minute. Well, he just went through 3 flaming tables and now he's still walking, like, but not like Mick Foley style, that when he went through it and they're stretching him out and he goes, wait, and he gets off the, you know, almost like Tales from the Crypt, he comes back to life and kind of starts walking back all hobbly. No, these guys are jumping off the table and running into the ring. I go, it's just, they're just working way too hard. Yeah. And incredible athletes. They're way better than we were. And it's awesome, but there's just psychology sometimes is not there. They're taking what we did back in the day and all those high spots, and that's all they're doing. But people don't realize that we were only doing those things a little bit in the matches and sprinkling them in, and really only on big pay-per-views or big nitros or something like that. We weren't really just doing those on a Saturday night taping. You know, we're keeping that more a little bit mellow. And when we did do those, we got our ass chewed out.
Yeah. And you know, sadly, I've heard rumors about the backstage area there. I haven't been there, but apparently it's not what Vince has done with agents and folks, you know, because I always like to say that Vince has always had a quality control where everything went through him. And you were there just like I was, and matches would be put together with agents, whether it be Arn or Dean or somebody.
Sure.
And there would be some quality control there, man, where everybody knew what somebody was doing. Because, for example, I seen 3 spots on the same show from the opening to the main, and I said, who's the quality control guys here, and why isn't that being policed? And again, I think that's another lost art, that the inmates are running the asylum and they're just doing whatever they want to do.
I think in WWE, like when we were there, the agents would help us out with the matches, but not put the entire match together. Mm-hmm. From what I hear now, I haven't been there, just saying what I hear, that they're very, very, very involved. So they're almost over micromanaging every match, because they have to tell, you know, being headsets, okay, this is coming next, that's coming next. But we didn't really work like that. But I think that's what they're doing now. And then AEW went the opposite way. So really, like a lot of the agents, they're not helping out. They're just there if they got questions, and the wrestlers are just doing their own matches. So it's almost, I think both need to, like, WWE needs to back off a little bit on the agents, and the AEW needs to have the edges step in a little bit more and just, you know, pull people aside and say, guys, let's put everybody together. Just put some matches up. Why are you guys doing this? Why are you going that? See, you worked too hard here. You could have gotten so much more mileage off of that kick. You know, now you had to, remember, we only have so many bumps in us. Mm-hmm. We have a bump card. There's only so many bumps in our body. And what's happening is a lot of these guys they're punching those bump cards. You know, they're punching them out in the first, 5 years of being on television. They're done.
Yeah.
It's hurt. Your body can only take so much. I remember Terry Funk telling me one time, he goes, "Hey kid, that was a great match. How many bumps did you take?" And I was like, I don't know. He's like, "Well, let's think about it." And I was like, "Oh man, this guy really, he cares." So we started thinking about it. And I've known Terry since I was a kid. He helped my dad break into the business. The Funks and the Guerreros have forever been together. Yeah, man. Well, and we started thinking about it, and we started counting the bumps, and it's something like 25 bumps or something like that. I like a house show match, And he's like, "Oh, that's great, man. You're working hard." I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, just think if you did 3 less bumps." I said, "Yeah, like just 3." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "I'm not talking about the finish. I'm talking about just regular bumps that you just threw away." I said, "Okay." He goes, "How many matches do you do a year?" And the time's like 300. I go, "About 300. He goes, "Man, that's like 900 less bumps in 1 year." He goes, "How long's your career going to be? 10, 20 years? I said, "I hope so." And he said, "Yeah. So in 10 years, that's 9,000 less bumps. In 20 years," he goes, "that's 18,000 less bumps. Do you think you're going to feel better at the end of those 20 years? And I was like, bing, this light bulb.
Aha moment, man.
And I was like, yeah. So don't throw them away. We're just, what happens a lot, you just throw them away for no reason. And I get it. But yeah, I try to teach that anytime I do seminars is everything has a reason. Every bump has a reason. Every headlock. There's a reason why I grab a headlock, not just to grab a headlock.
Yeah. And looking back, man, that's one of the things, like I know you broke in old school because of who your dad was and who your family was and stuff. Right. And, I don't think, because Terry has that old school mentality and, you grew up with it. I grew up with it. And it saddens me that somebody like yourself, that Tony Khan, look at that little kid.
That little picture,
but that tells me right there, looking at this photo, Chavo, which I've loved this photo since the first day you showed it to me, is like you were already dedicated and already being groomed to come into the business. Right. Now,
in to put context into that photo, my trophies were about this big. Those are my dad's trophies. So I was in front of my dad's trophies.
Oh, yeah. But, dude, it was crazy. And this is me, and I hate harping on it, but this is just me. With what happened to you with AEW recently, I really feel that what you've done, especially like with Glow and Young Rock and who you are and what your family is, they fucking need you there, whether it be in front of the camera, but I think more so behind the camera because of the type of trainer you are, man. And the thing, that I like to say, and I told you this, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, man, is that you taught me how to be a better coach and better trainer in professional wrestling, man, and how to break it down and how to explain how you get from point A to point B to point C, man. And again, that's a lost art form where everybody is getting their shit in and not doing what they really need to be doing. So you breaking in old school, what was that like coming in with your dad and your uncles and Eddie? And, what type of pressure was that coming in?
Well, first of all, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And back to what you were saying with AEW, I've learned real fast. Everyone's replaceable. I don't care who you are.
Yes,
you're
we
replaceable,
are.
100%. So, I don't need them. They don't need me. But obviously we can benefit from each other working together. And I think we could probably make each other better. That's, right there. But back to your question, growing up a Guerrero, basically.
Yeah.
You know what? We grew up, with a wrestling ring in the backyard. I grew up with my grandfather's promotion. My dad was already wrestling, so it was in my blood my entire life. I never remember not being involved with pro wrestling, whether it was at the arenas, taking tickets or just running around. Me and Eddie had our first matches. My grandfather used to have his promotion, and during intermission, all the fans knew who we were because we were always running around the place. Eddie and I would jump in the ring and start wrestling. So the promotion, my grandfather basically had to have us stop wrestling, and we were heartbroken. We're like, why? And he's like, listen, everybody's supposed to at intermission go to concessions and buy, hot dogs and beer and popcorn, but they're not. They're sitting there watching you guys. So I'm losing money, you guys wrestling. So, that's what it was like growing up with Guerrero, man, and I knew that we were special in a sense, just, different, it just like, having my family recognized and me signing autographs at, 5 years old was just something normal. I just didn't think anything different about that.
This was normal. This was what life was for you.
Right.
But,
this abnormality was just normal to me.
Yeah, because everybody has a picket fence, and mom and dad, corporate or whatever, and they come there, and it's like it's a complete different animal when you're professional wrestling, man. It's like everything that you think throw it out the window, because this is what life is going to be. Right. Your dad was fucking amazing, dude.
Thank you.
And I remember being at Lucha Underground and having the opportunities to talk to him for hours on end, man, when we were rehearsing or just, getting ready for the show and stuff. And I learned a lot from him. And your dad was as old school as they got, man. And he saw things differently. And that's why I always loved picking his brain and asking him what he thought of what he was seeing that we were doing at Lucha Underground, or just giving us some scenarios of, just to get his feedback on what works and what doesn't work, and learning how to work in front of a crowd and working for TV. And it's funny because, just like I know, your dad always thought you were the shits. And
he was right.
Yeah. And I remember hearing him wow. And I would see you like, kind of like, okay. But what was that like, going in the business and then achieving the success that you did, and then having your dad critique you? What was that like?
Well, it went from, he did it in a way to where it was like, hey man, great match. You did really good. Your punches at this part looked like crap. All right. So I need to fix those. So, it was a very high standard to live up to, for sure. But, at later on in my career, he'd always just be like, man, like you're firing on all cylinders. When there was nothing to pick apart too much, he was just like, man, like that was awesome, So it was cool to get that feedback from him, But we were all hard on each other. We're always in the Guerreros. We're always hard on each other and expected the best from each other. So there was times that, Eddie would pick me apart, or I'd pick Eddie apart, and we didn't like it. We would get toes to nose sometimes, but we were both right, And there's times that when me and my dad were working together in WWE, and I'd get mad at him because I was like, look, he was still, to me, the Chavo Guerrero from 1980, but he wasn't anymore. So he one time at times, in the early in his career, he was like one of the best in the world. He was so good. So I still thought of him like that. So then when I would get in the ring with him, and he's been my manager, and I'd have to like, Dad, what are you doing? That's not how we do it. And he'd be like, well, stop yelling at me, and I'd be like, come on, I know this, so stop. I just forgot, So we'd be hard on each other, But to toot my dad's horn, one year when he was in the Olympic Auditorium, he was the man there. He wrestled for the WWF Championship. That's what it used to be called. He wrestled Superstar Billy Graham. Same year, he wrestled Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA Championship. And he also wrestled Terry Funk for the NWA Championship, all in 1 year, and went to an hour Broadway with each one of them. So didn't lose to any of them. That was in 1 year. He went for an hour match. So anybody who doesn't know what that means, hour Broadway is you go away and 1 hour match with no winner at the end, either a draw or a disqualification or time limit run out. So we did that for each one of the championships, the major promotions, that's pretty amazing. That's not many people have done that.
No. And I don't think many people could do that today if the territories were, because like you said, it's a whole different vibe today with professional wrestling. And, to me, I always like to give the analogy that professional wrestling has a formula, just like Coke does, just like McDonald's does, and it works, and it fluctuates from time to time, and it changes, like Coke has added Super Coke and Diet Coke and Cherry Coke.
Are you talking about cola or cocaine?
Cola.
This isn't 1980s, guys. Yes, go on.
Yeah, but again, if that was used back then, it was used. But my point to that is that there's always been a formula, man, and it changes from time to time. and some things are used, some things are not, and some things work and some things don't. But to see where professional wrestling is, because Chavo, I hadn't seen wrestling in 6 years, man. Yeah. And I was traumatized at what I saw, because it was like, that's not what I learned, man. And that's not what I know. And to me, it seems like a lot of the kids, and that's what they are, they're kids, they have a lot of bad habits, man. Sure. And that's why I wanted to ask you, what was the transition like for you from coaching and training in professional wrestling, then transitioning over to Hollywood to make professional wrestling real in Hollywood? Because I was there when you did it for Glow, but what was that like mentally and as a performer to kind of step out of your comfort zone and go, okay, I need to do this now? What was that like?
Well, it was a lot of the same thing when I first started wrestling, which I just sat back and watched and learned. That's kind of my MO is really just, I learned a lot from people without them actually teaching me, from just watching and seeing what to do and what not to do. I've always been like that. But in Hollywood, when I first started there, it was kind of the same. Look, I went from being in pro wrestling and knowing the craft pretty well. I had some excellent teachers growing up, of course. Mm-hmm. But going into Hollywood, it was kind of the same thing. It was kind of like, let me know what I've taken from pro wrestling, but I have to adapt that to Hollywood. So just from learning a lot from Shauna Duggins, of my stunt coordinator on Glow, mm-hmm. Just watching all the directors and really just kind of just being around that. And I learned that. And then going to, that's us with our Emmy. The stunt coordinator wanted an Emmy, of course she did, but we were all involved with it, and that's why we were all there taking a picture. Mm-hmm. We then go to Young Rock, and really after the first year, them kind of like going, Chavo, do it. So now I'm sitting, behind with the director and shadowing him, and actually really kind of, now I started thinking like not just a director, but a DP, which is a director of photography, an AD, an assistant director. You're thinking not just a stunt coordinator, you're thinking all these different ways, like even like a camera guy, like how this person wants to shoot this scene. So you have to start thinking about how they think. And, it takes a while, but now I'm able to do that and thinking, okay, so I'm assuming the director probably wants to do this, but he may change that, and I'll have meetings with, like the DP, and how do you want to shoot this film? How many cameras are we going to have? Okay, that's going to show me how I'm going to put this scene together. It's not just putting a wrestling scene together, like doing a WrestleMania match. It's like I'm teaching these guys, these actors and actresses, to do a scene in a movie or a TV show, which sometimes is easier, sometimes much harder. It just depends. I can wrestle 25 minutes straight, no problem. But sometimes these actors are doing these minute scenes or minute and a half scenes over a 6-hour period. You've seen it, where they're taking these 2 or 3 bumps, but they're doing it 30 times. So it turns into like 60 bumps, so it's eye-opening, and you really just have to learn how to do all that stuff. And now, just being in the business a little bit, you just keep getting better and better, and I will continue to get better. But it's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty cool to be able to see that aspect of it. It's like a Jenga puzzle. You're constantly just, there's all these pieces you got to stack, and this doesn't fit, put that other, change this in there. And you have to work with your actor's abilities also. And if you have to double the actor with a stuntman, or if you can't, then they have to do it. So you're trying to get the best scenes with what tools you're given, so it's like build this house, but these are the 5 tools that you have. You have to build this house. So you have to really think about, how am I going to do this?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What's the biggest difference from putting a professional wrestling match together mm-hmm. and putting the match together for, let's say, Glow? What's the difference, or what's the biggest obstacle that you've had to face doing something like that?
There's a lot of the same, but a lot of difference. You just start throwing stuff out, and it's just like pro wrestling, and just like being in TV show. You start throwing things out. Okay, how about we start doing this? How about doing that? No, that's not going to work. Or how about this? And it just kind of evolves, and you just put layers and layers and layers until eventually you come up with either a match, or you had come up with a scene. So that's what is similar. What is different is that now I'm working towards one camera, or to say there's 2 or 3 different cameras that are shooting at the same time, but I'm working towards that camera as opposed to a 4-sided audience. So that's going to be different. In wrestling, I'm looking, the people in the front row can see me, no problem, but I'm looking for that person way up on that, the 80th row way up there. That's what I'm really trying to show. So everything's very big and over exaggerated. Well, on camera, on a TV show, it's not. I can't make it big. I have to bring it way down because everybody can see me because the camera's on me. So, that's the difference. Many other similarities and differences, but really that's kind of what it really is. And, in pro wrestling, for instance, we try to do everything in the middle of the ring. Yes. Well, and then, if I grab a headlock, I'm trying to show 4 sides of that headlock. Well, on a scene, I don't have to do that. Because like in a TV show, I don't have to do that because the camera's going to find me no matter where I'm at. There's times I may pivot towards the camera, but also sometimes I'm not doing something in the middle of the ring. I'm doing it, I have a steady cam in there. So I got a cameraman in there. So we have to give him room so I can push everything to the side. And it looks strange on, being there, like everybody's like running the ropes sideways, but on camera, it plays. So there's a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. It's an art form. Both are art forms. They really are. They take years to learn.
Gotcha. Yeah. I started a couple of weeks ago helping out at Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling out in Denver. There's a plug for them. And that's one of the biggest things, that I've seen getting in the ring with these kids is their positioning is off, man. They're bumping in corners and they're bumping, and when they're grabbing headlocks and stuff, or they're grabbing holds, which they don't know how to do correctly, but they're.
I've seen a lot of main guys that don't know how to do that either. That's one thing that my family was, because they learned how to really shoot, how to be, actually apply these holds that they were very big on. And the times that I wouldn't put, like, say, a abdominal stretch on correctly, my father would be like, "Hey man, you need to lock that leg down there." Or if I did a small package and didn't, grapevine his leg flipping around, he'd be like, that you wanted that great, but you didn't lock that leg. That makes a good wrestler, difference between a good wrestler and a great wrestler.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I've been noticing since I've been there, is that they're listening. But Chavo, what I do, man, is I think it's bad habits. I think it's bad habits, man. So, let me ask you this, man. What was it like growing up a Guerrero?
It was a tough one, man. Growing up a Guerrero was it was a great one. You were special, but you had a lot to live up to. There was really a lot. It was really
there he is. There's a man.
It was great. I didn't know that it was tough. I didn't know it was hard, but it's tough. You grow up in Guerrero, you're in school and you have, people jealousy, and they're like, wrestling's fake. So next thing you know, I'm fighting in school because I'm protecting pro wrestling and but at the same time, you're treated very special at the same time. So it was, that's all I ever knew. So I didn't really know any difference either way, but made me be very protective of the business, but at the same time, know that we were, we had some perks given to us, it's nice.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. When did you realize your dad was who he was? When did that happen?
I don't ever think I did realize it. I always thought that he was just, he was my dad, and that was just his job, that he was just this pro wrestler. And I never, it just thought that was always like that, like to where, he was just a popular guy. It didn't really dawn on me. I just always knew. Like I remember my kids, at one time, playing the video games with their friends, and my son would play me, and he look at his friend and say, "Hey, which one is your dad?" and they'd be like, "What are you talking about? My dad's on a video game." He's not. Why not? I don't understand. So you just, I don't know. You never know that your dad is special. You just think that he's just, I don't know. That's just your dad. This is his job, and that's who he is. You never thought, and you didn't know any different.
Let me ask you this, man. Did you know that Eddie was going to be Eddie when you guys were growing up like that? Did you guys know that you guys were going to be special and carry on the Guerrero name?
We did. We knew we were going to be special. I mean, 100%. But the family didn't, because Eddie was such a crybaby. We were younger. He was the baby before me, and he was the baby of the family. And then I came along, and then I was the baby. So he was all pissed off and jealous of me. In fact, he tried to kill me one time. This is the truth. Oh, no. My mom was going, "Where are the kids at?" You know, I was a baby, you know, and Eddie was always by my side, you know. So Eddie was 3, I was, you know, a baby. So she's like, "Where is Eddie at? I can't find him." She goes into my room and he's got the telephone cord wrapped around my neck. And I'm turning blue. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he just like looks at her like, "I'm killing this kid." This is my time. This is my
taking you out,
baby. That was Eddie, you know. And then he used to like literally, my mom would be walking, you know, my mom was pregnant. He'd be walking, Eddie was 3, and he would lay down and look under her skirt all the time. And my mom starts getting uncomfortable. So finally she goes to my grandfather, and Mr. Guerrero, "I think you need to talk to Eddie. You know, this is what happened." So, you know, my grandfather, being who he was, Gory Guerrero, the first wrestler, and he was the toughest man in Mexico. "Eddie, Eduardo, get over here." So he goes, "Why are you doing this?" And Eddie's like, "I want to see the baby." And it was like, okay. I'm like, oh, that's cute. But, you know, he was such a crybaby, you know. And I mean, I didn't know because I was young, but they said, you know, we never thought Eddie was going to be a wrestler because he was just such you know, a little pussy. But you come to the point that you just stop, you know, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you just want to, you know, get tired of getting beat up. So you know, that happened to me too. It happened to me in WCW when I just got tired of Fit Finley and Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit kicking my ass because they didn't take it easy on you.
No.
And that's when you just start bringing it, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, like growing up Guerrero, man, you know, that must have been something. I mean, especially breaking into the business and training and then having your first match and wondering if you're going to live up to that Guerrero family expectation. How hard was that to overcome, man? Or really go like, "I'm going to fucking do it. And if I fail, at least I tried."
You know, I always knew I was going to be a pro wrestler. So it wasn't like I had to, like I had a question about it. I was going to be a pro wrestler no matter what. It just took me a while to actually pull the trigger and do it. Now, at 18, I wanted to. My dad was going to send me to Japan and wrestle for UWF. Billy Robinson was there. UWF was a 3/4 shoot organization. So it was like 3/4 reel in Japan. Thank God I didn't, because they would have killed me. They would have killed me because these guys were men. I mean, like all these guys were like, you know, just kicking everybody's asses. So, but I was going to do that. And then when I was like 19, 20, I was really wanted to do it and go to Mexico. My dad's like, "You're not ready yet." You know, I was a late bloomer for sure. So I was smaller, and it took me a while to actually mature muscular wise and toughness wise too. There was a lot of mental. So my dad was like, you know, if you go to Mexico, they're going to kill you for all the stuff that we've done because they can't beat us. So they're going to take it out on you. And I saw that at times. I saw it, you know, Terry Taylor at times took things out of me that my dad did to him when he was an agent in WWE, and I'll call him on it to this day. But, you know, and I saw some of that stuff, and it is what it is, but it kind of makes you tough. You know, you have to you either, you know, get beat up or you fight. So
you know, I was going to ask you, was there a certain jealousy coming into the business because of being a Guerrero? Was there like a jealousy towards you and Eddie? Because I've heard stories that Eddie has gone down to Mexico and got his ass fucking handed to him just because he was Gory's son. You know?
Absolutely. There was a lot of jealousy. No, we had a lot of people that looked out for us as favors for, you know, the family, for sure. We had a lot of, you know, older guys that were already established that were taking us under their wing. But there was a lot of jealousy from people that, you know, they were like, this kid, you know, I'm going to, you know, teach him a lesson. And they did. But it's learning lessons, you know, and that's how we got, you know, tough because we got beat up, and you learn like, all right, you know, you learn what the business is real fast. I mean, the first time I went to Japan, you know, it's my first year in the business. I was in WCW 1996. And my dad, I go, "Hey, Dad, you know, he's like, I've only been in the business 3 months." And he's like, they're sending me to Japan. He's like, okay, good. He goes, do you have any advice for me? And I'm thinking, hey, okay, pro wrestling advice. And the only thing my dad said goes, yeah. He goes, beat the fuck out of him. And I go, well, what do you mean? He's like, you need to beat the fuck out of him. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't get it. Like, oh, okay. So I got there. My very first match was against a guy named Keiji Kanemoto. And the first thing he did is we locked up and went to the corner, and my hands came down, and he slapped me so hard, broke my eardrum. This is the very first match in Japan, the very first tie-up in Japan. Wham! My ear's bleeding. And I went, oh, that's what my dad meant. So I learned real quick. It was like, bam, 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 bam. You got to bring it. So to be honest, that's the last time in a lockup I've ever put my hands down. I will never do that. I learn fast. I learn I can't hear others here, but still.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So was that something that as you progressed in your career and stuff, that it kind of went away and you guys were able to come into your own? I mean, with both you and Eddie being rising stars and stuff, because, Eddie was who he was in Japan and Mexico, and you came up and stuff. And, so when you got to WCW, Eddie was already there, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was already established. That was my first year in the business. Eddie had already been wrestling. So Eddie got there. See, I was 25, so I was 28. Eddie had already been wrestling for 10 years. When he went to WCW, it was 9 or 10 years already in, all over Mexico, all over Japan, ECW. So when he went to WCW, he was already, he was already good. Now he got very, very good, but he was already there, So then I got there my first year in, they're expecting you to be Eddie. Well, Eddie pulls me aside and goes, listen, they always try to compare your dad and the brothers to grandpa, and they're never going to be grandpa. They always try to compare me to your dad and to the brothers. I'm never going to be them. He goes, oh, they're going to compare you to me. You're not going to be me. You're going to be you. I'm me. Your dad is your dad. The brothers are the brothers. Grandpa was grandpa. That's how it is. So don't ever let that get to you. They're going to compare you, but you don't. That's on them. That's not on you. You just be the best that you can be. So that was really cool of him to say that, and other times it was like, there was times he saw me frustrated, in WCW, and he's like, listen, kid, he's like, you got it. It's going to take some time to get there. You're learning on the job here. You didn't go to Mexico under a mask for 5 years and then all of a sudden learn, and then all of a sudden here you are. You're learning on the job. He goes, the cream always rises to the top. You will get there. And he was right. It took some time, and you're not patient, but you have to be patient in that. You think you're better than you are, and you're absolutely not. I remember one time wrestling in front of 20 people in Juarez, Mexico, and I was like, man, I'm better than this. I should be. And he looks at me and he goes, "It's just Eddie." He goes, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, You're going to sit here and you're going to wrestle in front of these guys." And he goes, "It's easy to wrestle in front of 60,000 people. But wrestling in front of 10 people, that's when you get good at your craft. So sit and get good at your craft and shut the fuck up." And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Wow. So were you and Eddie there for each other in that aspect and everything? Because I know there's times, where you've called me out on some shit, and vice versa, and other stuff. So was that something that was the norm for you and Eddie, to call each other out, especially when you guys were working together?
Absolutely. One thing we said when we first started working together is like, hey, we've seen, the brothers, my dad, Hector Mondo, sometimes not work together and be jealous of each other and, not undercut each other, but they didn't do, what's best for everybody. Eddie and I, we came to that pact, goes, look, you feed your family, I feed my family. I get it. But every decision we make affects the other person. So we need to keep that in consideration. And when we're making big decisions, we need to talk to each other. And that's something that we did for our whole careers, and like when him and the Radicals, Eddie, Dean, Chris, and Perry Saturn went to WWF and left WCW. He called me, he goes, look, this is what's going on. We're leaving. We're tired. We're leaving. Do you want to come with us, or are you going to stay? And I was like, well, what do you think? And he goes, look, I think us leaving, there's going to be 4 spots opening up in WCW. I think you should stay, get more polished, and then come to WCW and kick ass. And he was right. So I did that. I didn't go with him. I had the opportunity to, but I didn't go with him. And it was 100% the right truth, the right thing to do, because I wasn't ready to go to WWF. Even when they picked up WCW and they bought it all out, and then they picked up 19 contracts, and I was one of them, and I went to WWF at the time, I still wasn't ready. I learned there, I didn't really get ready for, I think when we became Los Guerreros, that's when I really came into my own.
Yeah. So when Eddie called you and told you what was happening, because that was a big thing. That was pre-fucking internet, but it was still a big thing at that time that those guys jumped the way they did. Was there any heat on you backstage because Eddie did what he did and we're going to fucking show the Guerreros, or?
Maybe not directly, but I remember Kevin Sullivan, who was the booker at the time, telling me, man, I don't understand why they left, and this and that, and I can't say that he took it out of me, because, I still did some stuff. And then there was a time that he wasn't the booker anymore or whatever. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but I remember him actually bringing it up to me. I didn't bring it up. He brought it up, and I'm not sure why they left and this and that. So I was like a little leery, going, oh no, great. Here it goes, But it kind of sucked because my, like my big brother, who Eddie really was left. So I don't have, now I'm on my own. My dad wasn't there, Eddie didn't, Chris, they all left. I was relying on guys like, Steve Regal and Fit Finley. Oh, I think Regal had left already too. But I was relying on those guys, to really kind of guide me, because, you can't learn this business in 3 or 4 years, 5 years. It takes a lot longer than that, So, really, you're on your own, but which was good. And it was good for me to be on my own, but there were still guys there that if I needed something, I could talk to.
Yeah. That's cool. It's funny what you said just now, that, Eddie's 15 years and, you're going to do what you're going to do. And, it took years to learn your craft and get better. Whereas today's wrestling kids at these companies have only been doing this for maybe 3 years, maybe less, but yet they're being shoved on TV, and that's the product today, man.
I think they know what they're doing. I just had this conversation with Booker T. We just talked about it. And he's like, there's sometimes that I, not divulging any names or whatever. He goes, sometimes I help people out and they're looking at me like, what have you done in this business? He's like, what? I mean, it's Booker T. I mean, Booker T is one of the best wrestlers ever. I mean, he's a proven, multi-time world champion in 2 different companies and one of the best, and a man's man, and he's like,
behind the scenes for a shoot, he's a bad motherfucker.
Absolutely. And people are like, well, kind of like, well, what do you know? He's like, are you okay? We'll just fall on your face then. Wow. Fall on your face, you know what I mean? And since I'm here, I'm going to plug the Los Guerreros Mexican Lager.
Plug away, brother. Plug everything you want to plug, brother.
This is coming here like that. Boom. Okay. So can you see this now? Right now it's getting messed up with the, it's coming out, but let me see if it comes.
Los Guerreros Lagers.
There it is.
There it is right there. That's right.
Los Guerreros Mexican Lager.
There you go, brother. There it is. Plug away. Be sure to get Chavo's Lager, man.
That is the best Mexican lager you can have. So like a Modelo or Dos Equis, something like that. This thing's way better, but just saying.
And that artwork was done by our very own Pete Bregman, correct?
That's right. Absolutely it was.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great dude, great dude, man. So let me ask you this. What do you think the Guerrero legacy is going to be after you're done for good? Drink one for me, brother.
All right. So the Guerrero legacy, man. I don't, we don't have anybody else really coming up right now. Like my sons decided to go to college, which I'm grateful for, because it's a very tough business to get in, and there's no guarantees. Yeah. But the legacy, man, we're still paving it. We're still paving that legacy, even though we're not really in the ring as much anymore. Mm-hmm. We're still paving that legacy through Hollywood and different things. And I'm trying to make that legacy much bigger than just wrestling.
Yeah.
With my, like my beer, with your
comic books,
my, stuff in Hollywood. You're really trying to say that, one of the best names in pro wrestling is the Guerreros. We're trying to keep that going, along with a lot of the other names, but it's my family, what their mistake was, because they loved wrestling so much, they thought small. They only thought wrestling. Well, being a professional wrestler, working for these big companies, you're working directly with billionaires, and you're having these experiences and these craft and this knowledge that other people don't have and they can never have. Yeah. So there's we're very adverse and diverse in business. People don't even really know it. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is kind of moving this into more mainstream things and not just pro wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like I'm just doing this pro wrestling. I'm doing this for the Hispanic people. I'm doing this, for, and representation.
La
Raza, Simon, always. And that's something, me and Eddie, when we were younger, we didn't catch up on that at first. We didn't pick up on that. At first we were just, pro wrestling because we love pro wrestling. But then when we started seeing people come to us and like, man, thank you for representing us. We don't have La Raza, the Hispanic people, the Mexican people don't have a lot of people in, pro sports or on TV, and you guys are there and you're representing us. And we really had to think like, wow, we have to start thinking bigger, because it's not just thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about this culture, this ethnic back, this country, in a sense. And we understand we're Mexican Americans. We're not Absolutely. Mexican. We're not American. We're kind of in between, that we're like Chicanos. So we're representing them and kind of both sides. We always embrace and remember our history, but love where we're at now. So, you're representing these people. So you have to take that in consideration in everything you're doing. So everything I do is within anything I do in the public is always for the Hispanic people.
Awesome, bro. So let me ask you this: do you think your dad would enjoy what he saw today if he was still here?
As far as what? Wrestling?
As far as wrestling and the product on where the business has gone?
They love wrestling. They will always love wrestling, so they will always enjoy what's going on. Now, would they like to be helping people out and helping it get better? Absolutely. But they both understood that wrestling evolves and evolve. Whatever you're doing, whether it be music, wrestling, Hollywood, things evolve. And if you don't evolve with it, then you stay the same and it passes you by. So that's why I have a lot of respect for people like Madonna or Aerosmith, because they've been around the game for so long, and there's a lot of people that haven't. People have 2 or 3 hit albums and they're gone because they didn't continue to evolve. Mm-hmm. We have people like Madonna that constantly is evolving, has kept herself in the game. Aerosmith kept themselves in the game. So I've definitely learned from them. But same pro wrestling. If you don't evolve with it and you still try to do what you did in 1985 or 1995 or 2005, it's some things will work, but you have to make it work in this day and age.
Absolutely. And I think that training and coaching is a big part of that behind the scenes, man.
For sure. Yep.
And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but again, I'm saying what I'm saying, is that you don't have guys like Chavo Guerrero or, Bob Hawley or Paul Roma or Al Snow or Dr. Tom behind the scenes showing these kids how to do this and stuff, so that business will continue to be what it is. And, wrestling is wrestling no matter what you do. But when you try and do flippity-doo on Circus Soleil and get all your shit in, it's a different performance, put it that way.
I'm a firm believer that you have to have been there and been at the top of that craft to be able to teach that. It's hard to teach somebody how to go into space if you've never been to space.
Dude,
go ahead. So it's hard to teach people, and I'm saying that it can't be done, but it's hard to teach people how to go work for WWE or go main event or WrestleMania if you've never main evented a WrestleMania. I've never main evented a WrestleMania.
But
I've been a lot of WrestleManias, but I've never main evented one. So it'd be really hard for me to say, hey, guys, this is how you main event WrestleMania. But I'll teach you how to get to the point to where maybe you can figure out yourself,
Yeah, or, you can help somebody get to Monday Night Raw, how to perform it at Monday Night Raw, how to perform at SummerSlam.
And it's not just how to
WrestleMania.
It's not just how to perform there. It's how to, I know what Vince is looking for. I know it doesn't change.
So do I.
I get it.
We know his MO.
And no one taught me that. You had to figure that out. But I taught what it is. It's a business. Pro wrestling is the business. It's like going to work at Starbucks. They're not giving you a job because they're in a charity business. Starbucks is giving you a job because you can further their business. You can make a great cappuccino and you can do it quickly. You can pump it out and make them money. It's the same thing with pro wrestling. Vince McMahon's not in the charity business. He's not giving you a $100,000 contract because he's being nice. He's giving it to you thinking, well, if I give him 100,000, I want to make $1 million off of him at least. Mm-hmm. You know, so you got to figure out how to make him money. How am I? That's all that he doesn't see talent. He sees money. He sees green. Yes. So how am I going to make him money? When I make him money, I'm going to make money. So everybody has a different way of doing it. Some people do it through the microphone. Some people do it through their wrestling. Some people do it through their bodies. Some people do it through their charisma in the ring. Everybody has a different way of doing it. And you have to figure out yours. And then he's got to be able to see money in you also. You have to show him, look, this is a dollar sign. I'm going to make you money. Give me that chance. And when I make you money, I know I'm going to make money.
Absolutely, absolutely. But one of the things, Chavo, that to add to your point is I think that the basic fundamentals of coming into the business.
Beer, man. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's a good ass beer. I'm not just
saying
that.
What kind of beer is that again, Chavo?
That's a Los Guerreros Mexican lager available at alastabrewingcompany.com. And also you can buy it. Just go to my Instagram and click on the link tree. You can see it there.
There you go. Yeah. But I really think the fundamentals of what we've learned when we were starting out, I think those are kind of frayed today. And you have people who have never done anything in the business, let's call it what it is, showing these kids bad mistakes and things that they don't know about.
So you still need a foundation. Building a house may have changed from the 1900s to nowadays with, LED lights and all the different, the Nest thermostats and different stuff like that, all the different windows that are having, double pane glass that are gas inside. Yeah, things have changed, but the foundation of building a house is still the same. So you have to learn how to build that foundation to build up other things on top. It's the same with wrestling. Things have absolutely changed, but that foundation of wrestling has not changed. You're still trying to get people to suspend their belief and be entertained at a show. That's what it is. You're trying to entertain these people. Nothing's really changed in that. The way you get there may have changed, but the foundation hasn't. So you have to learn that base, that foundation. And that's what I see. A lot of people aren't learning that. They're just doing a flip because they think, oh, so let me put this in like movie terms. So one time I saw, and I've said this before, people are going to hear this before, but I've said it, I've used this a lot. I saw the first Transformers movie. And I saw it with my kids, they were younger. Now they're, 19 and 22, but they were young, they were, 8 and 10 or whatever they were back then. But I saw it and it was 30 minutes of explosions. Well, after 30 minutes, I was like, oh, all right, tell me a story. Like, I get it. You can blow some shit up, but tell me a story. I'm not connected to these characters. And at one point, Shia LaBeouf's friend dies and there's like sad music, but still some explosions in the background. And I'm like, well, I don't really give a fuck about that character. I don't care if he died. I don't care because you didn't let me care about him. Well, at the same time, I saw Bridges of Madison County, Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep. Not one explosion, not one. But at the end, not to give the movie away, but when it was raining and Clint Eastwood was in one car and Meryl Streep was with her husband in another car, and you're like, just go to her. And he doesn't. And you're like, oh, I was heartbroken. Not one explosion, but they made me feel, they made me care about these characters. And that's what wrestling is. We tell the story using these high spots, these explosions, but the high spots or the explosions themselves are not the story. We use those to help tell the story and help them get the people to care about you, to give a shit about you, to like you or to hate you. But doing the move stuff is not the story. And that's what we're losing today. That is where the disconnect is. People think that, well, just because I did this flip, okay, people are going to like me. They don't care about the flip. We use those flips at certain times to help get them to care about you. So there's the analogy.
Okay. So wrestling companies, AEW, WWE, MLW, NWA, New Japan, Chavo fucking Guerrero. If you fucking guys don't have the common sense to pick up Chavo Guerrero, then I don't know what the fuck's wrong with professional wrestling today.
Hey
I love
guys,
it, Chavo.
I had some really, really good teachers. Some of the
So did
best
I,
in the
man.
business at all
And,
times.
and,
Eddie, Dean, Chris, Kurt Henning, Arn Anderson, Fit Finley, Steve Rigo. Some of the people that are the best of all time were my teachers. And I don't mention every one of the Guerreros. So, and then every one of the Ortons and every one of the McMahons and every one of the Samoans. So I had some really good teachers. So I picked up a few different things along the way. It was all taught to me.
Yeah, and that's what I tell kids, man, that they're not going to have that ability to learn from guys like yourself, you know, who have been there and done it and stuff. And I've been fortunate enough to learn from you. I learned from Eddie. I learned from your dad. I learned from the McMahons and stuff. And, you know, I was able to learn from a lot of the greats like yourself, man. And,
right.
and again, I just think that that's missed because they're hiring these independent darlings who have never done shit or never beat anybody to train these people how to do the stuff that we did. So
right, look, and in your spot, you know, a referee can make or break your match. I just heard Ric Flair talk about what was his name, Tommy Young being the best referee ever, and he was one of the best of all time. But because Ric Flair worked with him all the different times and could make or break his matches. Because you go an hour long every single night, that referee is very involved in that. So being a referee you're the third or the fifth person in that match all the time. I mean, I use my referees like nonstop. But if you've never refereed a WrestleMania with Taker and Shawn Michaels, it's hard to teach people how to referee a WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels.
Thank you. I love you.
I
love you, dude.
You know I love you, and I know that you're one of the best referees ever to have ever lived. And I'm telling you guys right this, like I would jump in the ring with you anytime, any place against any opponent because I know that you'd have my back. I wouldn't be just me calling the match with whoever or me in the ring with the Undertaker. I know that I had you in the match too. That's the truth. I'm not blowing steam up your ass, bro. I promise you that.
Thank you, dude. Wow. Thank you. I'm blown away, dude. And you know, it means the world to me because when you've had these projects, bro, like Glow, I was your guy. You know,
absolutely.
And you had these other things.
Absolutely.
Dude, I remember first season Rock where you needed the Glow ring transferred to
Irvine,
to Irvine.
Smart Cups.
Smart Cups.
And who did I call? I called you because I knew you'd be there 100%. You know, you had other things going on. You had a bunch of things going on. You know, I get it, dude. I'd go into battle with you, brother, and I'm not just saying that.
Absolutely,
I would hit you with a chair in any organization at all.
Hey, you know, speaking of hitting me a chair in organization. Let's talk Lucha Underground for a little bit, man.
Woo! I love Lucha Underground. I will definitely do that.
You know,
I just had another conversation with another person, nobody that we actually know, but is actually talking about starting up something in a sense of Lucha Underground. That was really, really cool. I'll talk to you more about that.
Cool.
But Lucha Underground, we talked a lot about that. It's a proven model, something that worked. We changed wrestling. The things that we did in Lucha Underground, you know, Mark Burnett, I'll give him some credit for sure because he'd rather fail being different than succeed being the same. So at Lucha Underground, sure, we made it was a wrestling show, but it wasn't a wrestling live show. We did a wrestling.
It wasn't a promotion.
TV show. No, we did a wrestling TV show, and the things that we did that were cutting edge are still used today in other organizations. If they weren't used before, but after Lucha Underground, now I see those same things used in WWE, used in Impact because of the stuff that we did in Lucha Underground. I'm very proud of Lucha Underground.
Yeah, you know, so what was some of your fondest memories there, man? Because I know that we would sit in those creative meetings every morning with Krista Joseph and Chris Roach and yourself, me, Stolman, Quinn would be there, and we would knock out episodes of Lucha Underground, man. And, you know, I always like to say that we did something that is still relevant today. And one of the biggest things that I think we did is we started the Diva Revolution. I think that we, with that match, No Mas match with Sexy Star and Melissa Anderson, aka Mariposa, I think that we set the women's division on fire. and everybody just wanted to try and play fucking catch up to us. And today, when you see these women working their asses off and doing what they're doing and becoming better in the ring and stuff, right. I think that we played a hand in that, bro. Would you agree?
Well, let me see. I'll tell you right now. So all those people that we had in Lucha Underground, and there was a lot, and I'm going to show this on my Instagram right now, guys. Everybody, I'm doing this podcast with Marty Elias is going to be dropping here pretty soon. But the stuff that we talked about on Lucha Underground is, and I'm also drinking a Mexican lager, Los Guerreros Mexican lagers. Like, I can throw it out there. I got to plug it. But the stuff we did in Lucha Underground, man, it was the people that we had, Pentagon, Phoenix, Mill. I mean, so many people that were just these awesome. Yes. Ricochet, that was Prince Puma, John Morrison, Willie Mack,
Brian Cates, Taya, Johnny,
Johnny, all these people. We didn't have them before, you know. I mean, they never had the opportunity to, except for John Morrison, to actually be seen throughout the world. And now these guys are some of the best wrestlers in the world because of the stuff that we helped mold them. Now, they were already really good, don't get me wrong, but we helped show them how to get even better. And they took that and ran with it, give them benefit of the doubt. But they even got better, you know. So I love that we made an impact on pro wrestling with Lucha Underground. We really did.
Yeah. And, you know, the fact that we were able to not have those handcuffs on, you know, because I remember we would sit in meetings and go, well, what if somebody did this, or what if we tried that? And we would go, wow, yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Vince Russo came the first time. Now, I haven't seen Vince Russo since WCW. So he came backstage at Lucha Underground like the second season, and he was like, and I was like, hey, Vince, what's going on? He's like, oh, man, I'm glad, you know, we don't have any heat. I go, I don't have heat with you. He's like, well, you know, there's a lot of people that I have heat with. I go, no, man, it was awesome working with you. And he was like, oh, man, he's like, I got to tell you, this Lucha Underground is what I wanted to do in WCW. But I couldn't. My hands were tied because of the networks and all the stuff that was, you know, going on, the things that, you know, standards of practice, things you could do, things you couldn't do. And he was like, man, he goes, when you came out and that second episode and you started hitting everybody with the chair and you hit, you know, Blue Demon and all the, you know, the referees started coming out, you started hitting all the referees and you started hitting all the wrestlers. And then all of a sudden Sexy Star came down and you stopped and then you whacked her with a chair. He goes, man, he goes, right then and there, I was hooked. He goes, because I couldn't do any of that stuff in WCW, and you were able to do that. And he goes, that's real life, you know. Now, you don't really want to see, you know, a person hit a woman with a chair, but we did it in a certain way that it was like, well, now she got her payback. She came back, kicked my ass a whole bunch of times. And every time I was in the ring with her, never once did I ever grab her or punch her or whatever. It was always like, I would try to demean her and then she would beat the shit out of me. It was awesome. I loved it. Every part of it. And she literally probably could beat the shit out of me.
Yeah. But, yeah. She was tough. She was a tough bitch.
But that's the thing. That's one thing that I always say about, you know, intergender matches. I would much rather, like in a street fight, get in a fight with a man than a woman. I would never want to fight a woman because they don't fight fair. They're scratching and pulling hair and, you know, biting and, you know, I just punch me. Have a dude punch me. I'm cool with that. But all the other stuff, and everybody knows that. Who are you scared of in your family? You're scared of your mom. You're scared of your psycho sister. You're scared of your grandma. You're not scared. You know, your dad, yeah, sure, but you know, you'll go toe to toe with them. Yeah. You know, brothers. You know, okay, whatever. They make you strong, make you men. But you're not going to fight your mom. You're going to sit there like, well, she's going to throw the chancla at you, you know, and you're going to be like, hey, you know, when she says jump, you say how high, you know, that's the truth. And that's what's lost sometimes in wrestling in those intergender matches. Sometimes it's like, no one wants to see a guy punch a girl. Let's change the channel heat. Boom. You want to see the heat that's like, you know, the demeaning heat. You see somebody demean somebody, and then all of a sudden that woman gets her payback and wham, smacks the taste out of your mouth. That's what you want to see.
Yeah. And you know, with Sexy Star, it was great, dude, because I remember when we decided to put the title on her, man, that was a big deal.
That's awesome. Oh, that was huge.
Nobody's seen that coming, man. Right, and when
before Impact, we did it before Impact with Tessa Blanchard, who's awesome, who I love. But we did it way before all of them because we did that with Sexy, and we believed it. She beat Brian Cage, right? Was that it?
No, it was Mil Muertes.
Oh, beat Mil.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And then with Ricky, I mean, him being okay with doing business, we're putting her over because, you know, anybody with an ego and not doing what's right for the business would have said no. And no, I don't want her to beat me like that. But she beat his ass clean in the middle of the ring.
And it was Mil Muertes who was like the Kane. He was the Kane, the Undertaker. First when he was there, and we had you would do some direction stuff in the back with like Skip Chasen and stuff. And Skip, you know, I love Skip. He was awesome. He was so good at what he did. Mm-hmm. He was like, hey, how about, you know, we have Mil, you know, like fight you. I said, I'm not going to fight Mil Muertes. He's supposed to be this like demon. He's supposed to like yell and bats fly out of his mouth. That's what we're trying to paint the picture of. And Skip was like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So I go, I'll tell you what, I want him to grab me by the throat and pick me straight up in the air. I go, you know, that's what I want. I want to just be trying to hit him off and not be able to hit me off. And I want him to drop me and put me down because he wanted to do it. But if he wanted to, he could just squeeze the life out of me. And Skip goes, oh, I love that. I love that. I go, that's what it is. I go, I'm not going to go toe-to-toe with Mil Muertes. I go, if we do, he's just a man. He's not a man. He's supposed to be this monster.
And by doing that, Chavo, what you did is you put him over.
And then he put me over in different ways.
Absolutely.
100%. I was able to hang with this monster, but at the same time, we made a monster. There's the ways to do it. Undertaker and Kane, they're not real. Now later on in their careers, they became, you know, human in a sense. But when they started, they were not even human. They were like, you know, you would knock them down and they would be late. I remember wrestling Kane, you know, so many different times for the ECW title. And every time we would do it where I would just have him beat and then he would sit up and just that sit up and I would like, whoa, and just yell and fall back and sit on my ass and be scared to death. People would gasp. I would hear people like, oh, because they would get scared because he literally would just sit up out of the blue. It was like this monster. First of all, he's a monster of a man, but he was just so good at what he did. It was magic, man.
Hey, do me a favor and tell my audience the pushing back story with Kane.
Oh, yeah. So we were working with John Cone. John Cone was the referee at the time. And I love John. John's a great guy, but, you know, he's a little naive at times. He's a little like, doesn't get jokes at times, you know, whatever. Yeah. So I'm working Kane at a house show and I powder out of the ring, which means I leave the ring and the Kane's trying to come out and John holds him back. And I go, push him back. And I just start going, push him back, way back. And that's, you know, that's from high school. That was like a football cheer, right? I'm like, push him back, way back. And then John Cones goes, Kane, he wants you to get back. And Kane just goes, no, he's doing a cheer. And we both started. I was laughing, and Kane was kind of trying not to smirk. And John kind of goes like, "Oh, okay."
Over his head.
Yeah, and Kane literally goes, "No, he doesn't. He's doing a cheer." That was fun, man. That was great.
See, that's good shit, man. I'm sure that doesn't happen as often as it did back when we were running and house shows and live events.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
You know, we were fucking insane, man. So, you know, dude, it's amazing to see you living the dream, man. I mean, you know, you've had this amazing career. You got this amazing legacy, family dynasty. And then, you know, you transition into Hollywood doing Glow. And, you know, you brought me in and then you went and did Young Rock, you know, and Lord knows that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is a third generation as well.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you guys are actually working together and making Young Rock fucking legitimate, man. You know, so congratulations on that, man. What's that like? You ever sit back and go, fuck, this is because I just go like, this shit really did happen and it is happening. Look at us there, dude. Season 1.
Yeah, that's us.
Season 1, Glow right there.
That's right. Both of us with hair.
Yeah. with Daniels and Kazarian, you know?
That's right. That's right. You know what, man? Working with Rock and working with that crew, it's awesome. Telling that story is great because that's my story. When I first saw the first episode, I go, man, not even just reading the scripts. When I first saw the first episode, I go, man, this is my story. It really is. You know, him growing up in the business and, you know, besides the running for president thing, but it's really my story, you know, like just this life lessons, you know, his uncles that were around were, you know, the Samoans and you know, Iron Sheik and stuff. Mine were Roddy Piper and Ric Flair and just different people, you know, on the West Coast. But, you know, we've talked, Rock and I have definitely talked about this a lot, to where just growing up in the business and just similarities that we've had, and just, you know, we're both third generation pro wrestlers, you know, that's what our families have done forever, you know? So it's I hate that word surreal because everybody uses the most over word.
So cliche.
But it's very surreal. It's very like, wow, this is pretty awesome. Like, I'm very lucky and blessed to be where I'm at.
Absolutely, man. So let me ask you, what has been like one of the biggest aha moments for you in your career, besides being a fucking great Guerrero and being a part of that amazing family and legacy, especially in this business? What's been an aha moment for you, whether it be a WrestleMania or something?
No, well, I'll tell you an aha moment, and I would say it like different, not like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. No, this is when, so one time about 4 years into the business, that's a great picture of me and Eddie. About 4 years into the business, I did something and I was getting heat on somebody, and I nailed them, and I heard the crowd go, ah, and I stopped it. What the hell was that? And I did something else again, boom, and I heard the crowd again, like ah, and I was like, oh my God, like, I've been working for 4 years without even like taking the crowd into consideration. I was just like kind of working because you're just like, I'm working in the ring. And I'm like, that's what people were telling me. Like, so I slowed down and started listening to the crowd and started feeling okay. I started doing something else, and I was like, I started manipulating the crowd, like right there in that match for the first time ever. That was one of my aha moments, going, that's what everybody's been talking about. Like, like your sixth sense kicked in. Like, all of a sudden I was blind and now I could see. It was weird. And then it just kept getting more and better and better and better and better. So now you're able to, you know, feel the crowd. Like, I always say the crowd are like, they're like babies. So babies are crying, but they don't know why they're crying. You know, they're either, you know, you just got to figure out. It's not really hard. It's either they're hungry, or they just can't tell you what they're crying, but they're crying. They're hungry, or they're tired, or they're dirty, or they got a burp, or, you know, they got a thorn in their finger. You got to figure it out. They're crying for a reason. I mean, unless they have colic or something, but they're crying for a reason. So you just kind of figure that out, and they'll kind of, for the most part, stop crying. Well, crowd wants to be entertained. They don't really know what they want, but they want to be entertained. So it's your job to figure it out. Do they want wrestling? Do they want flying? Do they want to laugh? Do they want brawling? They want something. They paid a ticket to see. There's something's going to make them pop or get excited. It's your job to figure it out. And every crowd is different. So an example, one time me and Santino I'm wrestling in Sheffield, England. And Sheffield, England was an awesome place to wrestle for, and they're always live.
So much fun there.
They're always live. Well, we were there, and I think we were there like 2 nights in a row. And the second night, man, like, it was a pretty sold out house. I was the fifth match right before intermission was working Santino. Santino, you know, love Santino. It's great. So, man, these people, everybody before was just working their asses off, and the people are sitting on their hands. They're not, they're, sometimes politely clapping away, but they're just there. And I'm like, what's going on with this crowd? And I'm watching going, this is not normal. Okay, but what's going on? I started thinking like, they're not popping on wrestling. They're not popping on moves. So I looked at Santino. I said, hey, man, we're doing all of your shtick tonight. Every funny comedy thing we can do, we're doing tonight. And he's like, all right, Chavo, you're the boss. You tell me. So we went out there and we did everything I never even punched. I was getting heat on the Cobra, the whole time I was punching the Cobra, and I'd put it between my legs and it would come back up and I would punch it back down. And I mean, it was the whole thing. And they would finally beat me. We did his whole spiel, the whole shtick. Then after, and people popped like crazy. When I got in the back, Arn Anderson was our agent. And he's like, just, Junior, with a little gimpy hand, he goes, Junior, how did you know that that's what the crowd wanted? And I was like, I was just watching the matches, and I just felt that they didn't want wrestling. They didn't want flying. They went blind. I think they just wanted to laugh. They wanted to be entertained. And he goes, Junior. And he looks at everybody, goes, everybody, that's why we listen to Junior over here. That's why we watch the matches before us. And he figured it out. You got to figure it out every night. And that's the truth. And it was just, I just figured it out. They wanted to laugh. They wanted to be entertained. They wanted a show. Did they enjoy the wrestling stuff? Sure, great. But they were like this 10,000 people or 8,000 people. They were like quiet and dead. It was almost like a Japanese crowd, and that's not like Sheffield, England. Yeah. So we popped. They all stood. They right before intermission, they gave us a standing ovation. It was there. You go. It was just figuring it out.
Yeah, and for me, I had an aha moment with Eddie.
Yeah.
In Alaska.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of his times, where he was let go, unfortunately.
Right.
I had the aha moment, but when I got to WWE with you guys, it was so cool because I would say, okay, what's the finish? And again, it would be either a frog splash, it would be whatever. Right. I knew that. And I never asked you guys for anything else, but it's like, okay, when we put the heat, we're going to do this or do that.
Right.
And I remember you and Eddie would always say, well, catch us.
Yeah, catch us. Exactly. Catch us. We do all the time.
Yeah. And, the fact that you guys worked with me and you guys were able to be so good in what you did because you guys would tag in and out and do everything else. And to me, I explain that to people that it's so vital to be able to have a chemistry and a flow with the boys. Right. And be able to do these things where you just only know the finish and you don't know anything else. And what Berto says and what you say is Shakespeare, baby, that everything else, we'll figure it out as we go, man.
That's right.
Talk about that kind of magic, man.
It was very easy with me and Eddie. We just had a sixth sense. We knew what each other was doing at all times. He could read me, I could read him. But also, we didn't plan the matches. We just went out there and felt it. So we didn't know what the finish were a lot of times. We were just like, hey, guess when you count to three, you count to three. I don't know if I'm going to win or if they're going to win. No one knows. Maybe a frog splash. I may do a tornado DDT. They may hit us. Who knows? If it was for the title, a different story. But we're like, sometimes the matches, they call for different things. So you're not Nostradamus. You don't know what they want until you get out there sometimes. So you can have an idea, but you have to be able to, if you have an outline. I always say we have an outline, and then I say, hey, this is all subject to change. Because every time you get out there, who knows? Hey, I think I'm the heel. But as soon as I get out there, maybe cheering me, so you may be the heel. And if that's the case, we just have to go with it. That's just what happens. Eddie and I, one time, we're in Corpus Christi, Texas, a Hispanic community, and we were right in the middle of our heel run, man. We were like, people hated us everywhere we went. We were the main event against Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. They were the baby faces. We were the heels. We went out there and they booed the hell out of Benoit and Angle and cheered us like crazy. So we're in the ring doing a promo, main event, a SmackDown house show. And we hear Kurt Angle goes, okay, we thought he said, switch. Well, he said, switch them, like turn them against you guys. Well, we're not going to do that. We switched to baby faces, and we started saying like on the mic, like, hey guys, now you're in our country. Where's your green card? And everybody went crazy and stuff. And so you get Kurt and Chris go, well, I guess we're heels. And they jumped us and got on us. And at one point, we had like a 25-minute match. And at one point, like I had Benoit in a cross, or no, Eddie had Benoit in the cross face. I had Kurt in the ankle lock. Kurt did a frog splash on us. It was freaking awesome.
Good shit, man.
Awesome. We called the entire match on the fly, and it was freaking magic. It was awesome. So, sometimes you just got to go with the flow, bro.
Yeah. And again, seeing the product right now and knowing it, because I always tell people that we see it from the inside out, man. We don't see it from the outside in, man.
That's right.
So when you see that, it's like, A, does anybody care about the business? And B, is anybody teaching them right? and C is like, do they really give a fuck, man?
Right.
Because it's not the business that we fell in love with.
I agree with you. I agree with you there. It just, it's evolving, and you got to evolve. The fans are evolving too, so they're getting conditioned to see a certain thing. So, there's still things that still work, but you have to learn how to do them in today's sense.
Yeah, you got to modify it. You got to modify it.
Absolutely, brother.
So I always had these geek out moments, Chavo.
Yeah.
And my geek out was always learning from you, learning from Eddie, learning from your dad, and then at Lucha Underground, Conan, and other people who came in and stuff, dude.
Right.
I always tell people that whenever you get somebody who takes the time to give you instruction, and whether it be Tom Howard or somebody else, always take the time to make that stuff yours. And Benoit told me this one time, a couple of times that I worked with him. Look at that, backstage Lucha Underground, bro.
Yeah, it's a great picture. I love that picture.
Yeah, man.
Look at that beard.
Yeah, that was season one.
It's no, I don't think so.
Season two?
Maybe season two, because that's when my dad came in.
Yeah, maybe you're right, Chavo. Maybe that is season two, bro.
I think it's season two because my dad didn't. I don't think he came in season one. I think season two when he started coming in, and then we did something again in season 3. But yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Because I know you guys did the thing, and I know we did something with Ray, and I know that you hit me with a chair when your dad was there.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. So but being able to learn and get this knowledge, man. And I remember the car rides too, man. The car rides, being at the bar, on a plane, or whatever, having a nice cold one, or eating over a meal or whatever. I've been truly blessed that I've been able to learn from these legends and these people who knew how to do it the right way and respected the business. And to see that today as a lost art, it really saddens me, man. And that's why, when Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling says, hey, Marty, would you like to come out and help us out and stuff? And I went and seen one of their tapings. And then last Thursday, I went and I trained with about 9 of their kids. And it was like deer in headlights, and people going like, holy fuck, that makes sense. Yes, it does.
Well, that's what happens. They think they talk to you, and then all of a sudden you explain it a certain way, and they go, I've never heard it that way before.
Never.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was like 9 of them, and they had, all of them had the same reaction, man, where they were just like, nobody's ever explained it that way, or wow, that does make sense if you do it that way. And it was about ring positioning. It was about grabbing a hold and working the hard camera, because what I see today too is a lot of mistakes. Is a lot of these kids don't know how to work TV. And when I jumped in the ring with these kids, it was, they had these holds and they were doing it. And I said, hard camera. And they're like looking at me. I said, turn the fuck around and face the hard camera.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you remember in Lucha Underground, I remember Pentagon one time, and I'm like, hey, you got to face hard camera. This is your moneymaker right here. They have to see your face. And he was like, oh, I go, how long have you been wrestling for? And he goes, oh, like 10 years. I said, has no one ever taught you this before? And he goes, no one's taught us this. And I said, oh, okay. So let's take it from ground one, step one. This is everything. This is nothing. This is everything. Your face, especially with that mask and the way that to do the cero miedo stuff. I go, they need to see that face, bro. So what's happening a lot of times, I was explaining to the guys, I go, you're not pausing for the cameras. Now we have the luxury of editing here, but a lot of times on a live show, you're not pausing for that camera. So the camera's constantly chasing you. So you're doing this and you're missing all of these shots because you're not sitting there waiting for that red light to come on. You're not telling that cameraman, shoot me, or the director, right here, camera focus right here. And they're like, no one's told us that before. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to tell you, but
yeah. And when I was in the ring on Thursday, Chavo, that same thing happened, and one of them was a female, one of them was a male. And when I told them, I said, face the hard camera. And then he went and he got her in an ankle lock, and he had her out of position. And I called the timeout, and I went, no, come here. I said, turn her around this way. And I said, now start selling. And, I said, no, look at the camera when you're doing it. What camera? Hard camera. this is where you want to be.
What's a hard camera?
Yeah, what's a hard camera? You know, and the fact, you know, that a lot of these people don't understand that, or not being taught that, because you have people training them who have never worked TV and don't know TV, don't understand TV. So they're not telling these people, and I always make it very clear too, Chavo, that when you're working hard camera, you always got to work the handhelds too, and then worry about the photographers.
Absolutely. There's some, I mean, you're not only playing to, you know, let's say there's 2 or 3 or 5 or 10,000 people. You're not just playing to them, you're playing to 7 cameras too. You're playing a hard camera, you're playing to your, you know, or a camera, we call it in Hollywood, but your hard camera, you have a couple steadies down there, just depending on how many cameras you're playing to those too. So, and then photographers, I tell the photographer sometimes, like, hey, if you see a shot, look at me and give me one of these, give me a stop. So when you do that, I'll know to pause for a second till you get that shot. And he's like, oh, wow, no one ever does that. I say, well, okay, how to tell you, but.
Yeah. I was explaining too that when I seen their TV, and I seen the people going up holding the titles, whether it be the referee or the champion themselves, you know, where they just get the title, they'll do this, they'll give it to the ref will do that too, and then they'll go, and I go, no, time out. When you're the champion, you want to sit there and get your shit in. So they see that you're the champion, and that's a money shot right there for a T-shirt or a video game or something, some type of merch, 8x10, whatever. That's the money shot, man. Right. And if you do this and you throw it away, then you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting the company too.
No one's taught them that, because the people that are teaching them at times have never been to the show, in a sense.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them.
No.
If you know addition, you can't teach trigonometry.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. But you can try to teach trigonometry. It's probably not going to be correct.
No. And, you know, I always use the analogy too, that with these people or kids who were training today's up and comers or whatever, is that these folks, and the analogy is Major League Baseball, because I'm a baseball fan, is that when you use a pitcher who's pitched in the minor leagues for 3 years, and you want him to show somebody how to pitch Game 7 of the World Series with the series tied, you know, there's no way that I would want this guy pitching Game 7 of the World Series for me, because he's never been there. He's never been in that pressure situation. He's never been yelled at Vince. He's never had to work with these agents and go out there and perform, where we only got one shot to do it perfect. And if you have never been under that type of environment, then how the fuck can you teach it to these new kids coming up?
Right. Yeah. Right. If you work on Hyundais, I don't want you working on my Ferrari. Absolutely. Because you don't know how to do it. Do you know how to work on cars? Sure. You know how to work on cars. Have you ever worked on, you know, a brand new Ferrari? No. Well, then how can you work on it, but how can you teach how to work on it? You know how to change oil, but have you ever changed that oil? You can maybe figure it out, or you have an idea, but you're kind of guessing. It's the same thing. A lot of those trainers, a lot of those people, they have an idea, but they're kind of guessing, because they don't really know if that really is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Been there. You know how I know it's correct? Because this man told me that is wrong. This is the way you do it. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And you know, Chavo, that's the other thing too, like transitioning into TV and wrestling and music and stuff that we've been able to do, is that I don't think, for me personally, you may feel the same way, maybe not, but I think you do, is that seeing Vince McMahon's work ethic and working for that man, dude, is that you either learn how to do that or you're fucking done.
100%. 100%. That's you learn real quick. There's a reason why he was successful. He didn't just get lucky. You know, he put his knowledge, and he knows what he's doing. There's a reason.
Yeah.
We like him or don't like him, it doesn't matter, but he's successful. There's a reason why he took wrestling from a regional promotion into a worldwide promotion. There's a reason. It's because it didn't just get lucky. And then he learned along the way and made a lot of mistakes as he went, but you know, he's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, pretty smart. I would never count Vince McMahon out of anything, even in today's game where people are saying, oh, AEW is the next big thing and look out Vince and blah, blah, blah. It's like, he put fucking Ted Turner out of business. Okay. So,
look, we all know this. Like, so, and I love that AEW is there because it now gives competition, and that's competition is great for everybody. It's great for the wrestlers, it's great for the promoters, great for the fans, great for everybody. But, you know, AEW is still a, you know, United States thing, and not really probably not even all over the whole United States. You have this man, his territory is the world. It's the world. There's a reason why when I walk down the street in India, I get recognized. It's because of WWE TV.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the legacy that you have and in the years of being on TV, like you said,
and it's not even the legacy, man, to be honest. A lot of those people have never even heard of my grandfather. Now, Mexico, different story.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, places in the United States heard of my father or whatever, but there's a reason why they know me, Chavo Guerrero Jr., in India or in, you know, Japan or Malaysia. It's because of that WWE TV. Now it's a little bit different too because of you have internet and that kind of stuff. But, you know, a lot of my followers on you know, Instagram and stuff are from all of these different countries, but they're not just like randomly searching and seeing, oh, there's this guy I want to show. No, they see Chavo Guerrero Jr., WWE superstar. Boom.
Yeah. And they're sold right there and then.
There it is.
Absolutely, man. Cool, man. Hey, Chavo, what's that sign behind you, dude?
So this sign behind me, brother, is... I literally want this. What? It's so the screensaver. This is at the Olympic Auditorium. This was the marquee. The Olympic Auditorium used to be the Madison Square Garden of the West, and that's where all the wrestling was and all the boxing and all the different things. But that was the marquee, and it says main event. Let me move out of the way. It says Chavo versus Piper. Loser leaves town. So that is, you know, my father against Roddy Piper. They had a huge, you know, rivalry, and that was the event. And that's a T-shirt now. You can get it at Master Public. Master Public has that T-shirt done there, and it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool to see. I remember that. That's a very iconic picture, and it's cool to see them actually bringing that back out, put it on shirts.
Yeah, that looks cool. And you know, I was blessed that I was able to work the Olympic.
That's right, me too. That was my debut at the Olympic Auditorium.
Wow, dude, talk about awesome. Yeah, you know, I worked there many times, and then when I forget what it was, late 2000, there was a promotion called Urban Wrestling Alliance.
Okay.
Or it was a bunch of urban folks. It was a wrestling promotion. So we actually did our TV tapings there at the Olympic Gardens, and they shot 2 seasons. They were lucky they got 2 episodes off. So yeah, but it was awesome, dude. All right, cool. Chavo, hey man, we're gonna wrap up here, bro. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything you want to let people know about merchandising, your beer, comic books? You know, what's going on with Chavo right now?
So check me out on my Instagram at ChavoGuerreroJr.com. I'm sorry, Chavo Guerrero Jr. And that is kind of to see everything that's going on with my, you know, my beer, Los Guerreros Mexican Lager, new comic book with Al Snow that just dropped March 4th. Young Rock, so many different things. My producing stuff going on, my different TV shows that I got going on. I've always got a lot of irons in the fire.
As we all do.
Diversifying, doing a whole bunch of stuff. So you'll see a lot of that stuff on there. So that's kind of what it's about, brother. And you know, check me out on that. That'll take you to all my pages, and that's about it, bro.
All right, cool. Yeah, man. Cool. So Young Rock, March 15th, 16th coming out?
March 15th, it drops.
Okay. Young Rock, NBC
season 2. Guys are gonna love it. There's so many cool surprises in there. I can't really divulge them right now, but there's so many cool things. You guys, any wrestling fans is going to love it, but any non-wrestling fans going to love it too, because it's such a fun, great, easy show. And it's got The Rock in it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's right. Smell what he's cooking.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome, bro. Thank you so very much for taking the time, dude, to come on and talk to me. And
I love you, dude.
Great, you know, shooting the shit, dude, and, you know, catching up and seeing where we're at, and, you know, just to see us, man, and just to talk to each other.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
Always. The fact that I'm in Colorado now, I mean, you know, it's not like I can drive down the 5 and go visit you. So, Yeah, man. So Chavo, thank you so very much, my brother. I love you. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be talking sooner than later, homie.
Absolutely, bro. You know, I love you, brother, and happy for your success. And keep plugging away, dude. Keep hustling.
Absolutely. Absolutely, bud. Love you, bro. Thank you.
Bye, Courtney. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys, that was Chavo Guerrero Jr. of the Guerrero legacy dynasty. I mean, God, I mean, what fucking stories, man. And this is where I want to go with Life After 3, with just these types of stories, these types of things, you know, that we want to, you know, bring out and talk about, and some of the cool stuff that we've been blessed to do and stuff. So there's going to be a lot more of this stuff moving forward. You know, the way to see it, download the Kill Cliff TV app, go to Brinks.tv for it as well, or go to the YouTube channel, or go to my Facebook and social media, and I'll let you know all the details. But again, thank you very much to Chavo Guerrero. Love him, brother. And I hope to see you guys next time. But as always, be a great human being. Peace.